Yes, sir, ski. Happy Friday. Welcome, beautiful people. Oh, man. It is a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful day out. Let me get this stream up. Yup. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, ski. Hey, yup. Hey, man. Like I said, beautiful, beautiful Friday. Great games last night. But, yeah, let's start it. Let's start it, baby. Welcome to the Jayson Estrera show, where we try to talk about basketball, sports, and everything else that we can as accurate as possible. Shout out DJ Khaled. And on today's show, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. On today's show, beef is still on the menu, but it's not Kendrick and Drake. And Luka Magic decided to show up in Oklahoma City last night. But what's going to happen when they're back in Dallas? And of course, Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers stole game 2 last night in a huge win. But like, as always, we have no fucking sponsors. So let's just get right into it, baby. First things first. We got more beef. We had Kendrick and Drake going at it. We had Chris Brown and Quavo going at it. And now we also can add, Shaq versus Shannon Sharpe. Oh, baby. Listen, I can't believe that we are getting treated to this much fucking content, man. Like, this is phenomenal. All right, but let's start over here, man. Let's go check out what these boys talking about over here.
Another guy, Shaq's side, with his athleticism, that was as dominant as him. Shaq should have 5 MVPs. He sees a guy like Nikola Jokic that's not as dominant as him and gets 3 and 4 years. But see, when you historically great, they talk about you as great basketball player, the GOAT, and Shaq is never brought up. And I think a part of him is envious of that.
When we talk about the greatest basketball players of all time as far as the GOAT conversation, Shaq's name is never brought up in that?
Yeah. It's hard for me to put somebody in the GOAT conversation with 1 MVP. Regular season. It's hard, Gil. So we're going to take somebody with 1 regular season MVP and put him in front of people that got 3, that got 4, that got 5. If Shaq would have had, if he'd had my work ethic, he'd have had 40,000 points.
And hey, I tell you right now, Shaq didn't like that shit. Yo, he did not like that shit. Here, let me see. Hey. And that stemmed from, is it here? And that stemmed from this, right?
Alliance, you are the vice president of the Big Man Alliance. You know I love you, the best player in the league. I want to congratulate you, but I want you to hear from me first. I thought the SGA should have been the MVP. That's no disrespect to you, but congratulations. And what do you guys have to do to get back on?
And that's kind of where that started. And now we have something like this, where Shaq says, "You took me sticking up for Shea as jealousy. Shows how smart you are and how you say anything to get clicks. So here's some clickbait for you. If you ain't ranked in the top 10 in your profession, then you can't speak on me. Don't forget, I know what you did to get where you at." What the fuck does that mean? Me jealous? LOL. Sounds like you jealous. I know you trying to stay relevant by gossiping on your podcast. We don't believe you. You need more people. And in case you forgot, 4 rings, 3 finals MVPs, 3 finals MVP, top 50 and top 75. Google me. And to be quite frank, all this new success you got, you still under me. You don't know my work ethic, but according to you, I work less than you. But I'm worth more than you. Make it make sense. Love you too. If you need help making money, it's better ways than gossiping. I'm too old for this shit. Love always, the most dominant big man ever who never took it serious. Remember, I don't know you. And in the words of Skip Bayless, I'm better than you. G14 classification, I have it, you don't. Not in my profession and in your GOAT debate. Never wanted to be the GOAT. I wanted to be who you should greet me as, the most dominant ever. Woo! And he didn't stop there.
When it comes to Shaq hates every big man. If you haven't noticed,
he does.
He doesn't like the big man, rightfully so, because that's his position. He is, in his mind, he is the apex predator. No matter what no one says, we don't care. He don't care what you say. He don't care. You can throw all the championships and all that. If we lace him up, and we had to, in our prime, had to.
Can we just get to the fucking song?
Those awards hurt him. They irritate the hell out of him.
Yes, it's the MVPs, Gil. It's the MVPs because he only have one.
They didn't think that I would win, but I won.
Oh, you think you can say something about the D's? He ain't gonna say something back?
Hey, man. Hey, I'm not gonna lie.
Number one.
I'm the best in the world, number.
Oh no, Shannon Sharpe, man, you're way beneath me. Your whole demeanor is faker than new rapper Beefy. You're soft, before you get fly, you rather tweet me. I was in 3 different cars when you was in 3 feet. All I see is dollar signs, they come in 3D. Make it hot.
Alright, so we got a fucking diss track from Shaq going at Shannon Sharpe. Yo. Excuse me. There is no fucking. I think it reconnected. I think we're good. I think. Oh shit. Okay. Bet. All right. But anyway, Shannon Sharpe didn't say nothing that nobody's ever said before. I will say this though. I don't think Shaq should have said that to Jokic in that moment. I get he's the head honcho of the bigs. I get he big dog. But you congratulating him for something great that he did. It's not his fault that motherfuckers don't know how to vote. That's not Jokic's fault. So why you gotta? And it's not like you saying Shea should have been MVP as if you the only person that said that. Other people have been saying that, and that's what should have happened. So you're not wrong in what you said, Shaq. But at the same time, give this man his flowers. 3 and 4. That's big time. And it's funny because, you know, Sharpe talking about if you would have had my work ethic, when the motherfucker getting an MVP award got no muscle definition either. So like, what? At the end of the day, right? We know as basketball fans, right? And as people who have really studied and watched this game for years, Shaq should have had more than one MVP. Like, we know this, right? We know this. He should have had more than one MVP. Let's see. And as I've been saying, he is the most dominant player ever. It just is what it is. But he finished second to Yep. In Orlando, what year was this? 57 and 25. 62 and 20. Where are they? 3rd of 27. I mean, it looks like you definitely could have given Shaq a more than one. Right? He 3rd in 2001. Who the fuck won that year? AI won that year? Why? Because he had 30? Like, Tim Duncan got 2nd. Averaging 22 and 12. Like, hey, like, listen. We get it, right? Like, we get it. Shaq should have won more than one MVP. But other people, mainly your co-star back in the day, rest in peace Kobe Bryant, called you lazy, Shaq. And I know you, there's the G14 classification. Y'all do it on the show. You a champion, they not. Certain people can talk with you, certain people can't talk about you. Motherfucker, you sit next to a guy that has never touched a basketball court and played basketball, and Ernie Johnson. No disrespect to him. I love that guy, but it's the same concept. You mean the same thing to him? You obviously don't, right? And I think it's fucking hilarious because he's always done this, right? You know, Gil was talking about every big man. He was really hard on Dwight. He's been hard on Anthony Davis, especially in this Jokic matchup. Like, this has been consistent. And I'm not going to say that he doesn't like them. I think he just sets a high standard. Right? And he's right in the sense of, yeah, I'm the most dominant, and maybe he's not in the GOAT conversation, but he right there. Like, maybe we don't talk about him in the same breath as we talk Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe, which is my top 3, easily top 3. But he right on the outside of that. Shaq is easily top 10. And for him to say what he said about Shannon Sharpe also, who's extremely accomplished, not just in his sport, but in his position, was also extremely disrespectful. I just think it was really funny that we got a whole diss track out of it, dog. But yeah, it is, you know, and I guess on the other part, the football basketball thing's been going around all week, right? Because let me find this. Because Austin Rivers was talking about 30 players can go into the NFL from the NBA. And I get it. You're supposed to.
Former NBA player. Players right now in the NBA, right, and throw them in the NFL. You cannot take 30 NFL players and put them in the NBA. All you've got to do.
See, I think for me, it's this first part. Obviously, he's just throwing a random bullshit number out there. I don't think it's 30 players. Obviously not 30 players, right? Obviously. But it's the comparison. It's the 30 for 30, right? And the reality is, with these big, bulky football guys, it would be hard to take them from football into now a sport that has years of skill with that. And I get that catching and running is like a very core skill that all athletes do. And that there's nuances in football that a basketball player can't do, right? Like, and that's why they wouldn't be successful. But it's mainly the physicality part, obviously, right? The physicality part is what's gonna get basketball players. They're not going to want to get, they don't want to get hit on the basketball court, let alone a football field, right? But here's the thing. Let's see this. Calvin Johnson, aka Megatron, right? Considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest, wide receiver ever. And let's find what's his name? These guys, Calvin Johnson was 6'5", 237 pounds. You know, Randy Moss was 6'4", 210. These guys at their height and weight were considered big for the wide receiver position. That's a point guard in the NBA. That's Russell Westbrook in the NBA. Right? So when you talk about transferring over, more NBA guys are on the bigger end of the size spectrum compared to NFL guys, right? When you're talking about running backs that are 5'11", we see how that works out for basketball players that have been playing basketball their whole life. Very few guys are successful at that height. You talk about a quarterback that's 6'4", but can't run. It has no athleticism. 6'4", 240 also, no athleticism. An NBA player would run circles in terms of athleticism around that person. Now, obviously, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from football. When you just look at the pure athleticism of it, the physicality, football wins. But when it comes to the technical or the skill part of basketball, that's going to be much harder, in my opinion, for a football player to go learn than for a basketball player to go learn plays and learn how to do different things on the football field, when their athleticism translates better. You got to remember, a lot of these football guys aren't big and tall, and you're talking about an NBA that has 6'9" shooting guards. I get it, they're skinnier, but in basketball, strength and physicality sometimes goes against you. Right? We see it with big guys. We saw it with Shaq. We were just talking about Shaq. Him being big and physical, he should have fouled every team out, but the referees couldn't keep calling them. So yes, it was an advantage, but there were times where, yeah, you get offensive fouls, or you keep getting hit because motherfuckers just keep hitting you because they can. Because the referees aren't going to do anything about it because you're bigger, stronger than everybody. So this just big physical thing that they would try to do playing basketball wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't translate the same, right? But yeah. Shit. Shaq and Shannon got me on a whole tangent, bro. These guys got me on a whole tangent. The NFL and the NBA have been going at it all week. One thing's for sure, though. Them NBA guys would not want to get hit in the NFL. Trust me. Trust me. Because a lot of those guys were doing both sports, and I promise you, they didn't like getting hit. I promise you. All right, moving on to the actual games that took place last night. So last night we saw Cleveland go against the Boston Celtics. Actually, you know what? Let's start with the other one. Luka Magic finally decided to show up in Oklahoma City last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he had himself a fucking game. Let me see this. Nope. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that.
Series going 6. Well, we'll have a similar outcome for the Mavs tonight and throughout the rest of this series.
All right.
Irving lobs for Washington.
So last night we saw the Dallas Mavericks beat the. So last night we saw the Dallas Mavericks beat the Oklahoma City Thunder at home. Final was 119 to 110. Luka Doncic had a great game, had 29 points on 11 of 21 shooting, 5 of 8 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, had 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block. PJ Washington had himself a game with 29 points, 1 block, 2 steals, 4 assists, 11 rebounds, 11 of 18 from the field, and 7 of 11 from 3. And we also got a game from Tim Hardaway Jr., who I said needed to be big in order for them to be successful. And he added in 17 points. Let's get away from this shit. And he added in 17 points, was 2 of 4 from 3, 6 of 10 from the field. On the other side of it, SGA had himself 33 points, 13 of 24 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. And Jalen Williams added 20 points, 7 of 17 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, and 4 of 4 from the free throw line. He added in 4 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. And Shea had himself 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. Alexander with a blow by goes to his left hand and clips it off the end. 25 second chance points in game 1. So to me, most of the season for the Thunder. Look at that. Look at this. Doncic with 4 threes. He was phenomenal. Look at this right here. That was nice. That was nice right there. That was real nice right there. So for me, this game, obviously, Luka was great, and he balled out. However, there's some people that want to like panic, bro. Like, let me see, is it like this? Okay, cool. There's some people that want to panic, at least on the Oklahoma City Thunder side, because Luka had a great game. But here's the reality. Kyrie Irving didn't have a great night shooting, but he had 11 assists and was really doing a great job of getting the others involved, right? And I feel like he switched his gears for this game. I don't know if it's the realization that it's not a star for star battle that they're having the same way they had against the Clippers, where they had to match the output of James Harden and Paul George, right? And they had to better that. And this, Luka needs to be able to match Shea's output, and then the rest of the guys have to just kind of fill it in, right? And so it's much less about Kyrie needing to get 30 alongside Luka, where they each have, 60 points of the 60 of the team's points, as opposed to trying to find a way to get 5 to 6 guys in double figures. And those 5 guys are all hovering between 12 to 18 points apiece. And those 4 out of those 5, and Luka matching Shea. Because that's really how Oklahoma City plays. I thought that the difference last night was Chet really couldn't get going. Jalen Williams didn't really have a very good game. Not the other one, not their starter. But they didn't have the same production from those other guys like they did in game 1 and in the other games against the Pelicans. And still, they only lost the game by 9. The Dallas Mavericks had to go 18 for 37, shooting 48.6% from 3 just to beat y'all by 9. So if I'm Oklahoma City, you shake their hands. You look PJ Washington in his eyes and say, hey, you did a hell of a job last night, bro. 7 of 11 from 3. I mean, that's like whenever like Miles Turner decides to show up for the Pacers, which he might do tonight. But that, you know, you can't count on the Mavericks to shoot that well from 3 game in and game out. You can rely on the way Oklahoma City, the way the Thunder play. Their defense, attacking the basket, getting to the rim, Shea in the mid-range, everyone getting in the mid-range. You can recreate that style of play over and over and over and over and over again, which is why they've been so consistent, which is why they're the #1 team in the West. Because you can repeat their style. It's not dependent on whether guys are hitting or missing threes. That comes and goes. That's why motherfuckers shoot 30%. Because the other 70% of the time you gonna miss it. That's not consistency. But when you get closer to the 50% range, when you got guys that are taking a lot of attempts from below the 3-point line, that's consistent. And that's why Oklahoma City was able to really stay in this game. They even took the lead in the third, I believe. And they were just able to stay right there within striking range. And at the end, they just kind of gassed out, I think, right? If you're Dallas, on the other hand, you say, we got a great win. PJ Washington was great. But when he drops off, if we can keep Tim Hardaway in this 14 to 18 points, hit a couple of threes to spread the floor out, you know, when a player like PJ Washington's production drops to 18 points, 15 points, now we look for Kyrie to have a 25 to 30 point game, right? Now they're looking at Daniel Gafford to have another big game, or Derek Lively. And that's how they're going to have to play this series. Luka's going to have to be consistently in the 28 to 35, 33 points, you know, getting his rebounds and assists, because he has to match Shea's production. But it's up to Kyrie to kind of really fill that gap, right? It's up to him to really see, okay, are the other guys going? Are they hitting shots? If not, I need to go find my shot so I can kind of match those guys' production and open up the teammates, right? So this series is really interesting in that sense, because Kyrie Irving is the co-star, but he's really the X factor at the moment, because I think his style of play is going to change from game to game. It's going to have to change from game to game, right? He had 20 points in game 1 and shot very efficiently, but they lost, right? So you're going to look for him to try to get his teammates involved. And if they're not getting going, will he look for his shot? And how will that look, right? And how will that turn out? Oh, yeah, and here's the other part, too. If we look at the first quarter, you know, Luka had a big first quarter, right? He had 16 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3. PJ Washington had 11. He was 3 of 3 from 3, 4 of 5 from the field. You know, the Mavericks had 36 in the first quarter. The Thunder very quietly had 32. And that's when I was watching the game, I was like, all right, like Luka hitting shots is great, but he was hitting a lot of his step back threes. He wasn't really getting into the lane, getting guys in foul trouble, you know, getting in there kicking. I don't know if it's the injury. I don't know if he saw something in their defense. Maybe he wasn't trying to get so deep into the teeth of the defense, especially with Dort guarding him, because now that puts him at a disadvantage. You know, we'll have to wait. We'll just have to see what happens. Maybe next game he'll be more aggressive going into the lane. But I thought that was really key. That I noticed that, like, the end of the first quarter, you would think that Dallas was up like 12 points. You would think that the score would have been 36-24. But very quietly, Oklahoma City was still in there, and they were the entire game for the most part, right? So yeah, then they play in Dallas, I believe, tomorrow. So we'll see how that game goes. Moving on. I was talking shit about Cleveland yesterday. Oh, and first of all, I was fucking dead wrong, man. I was dead wrong. I had Oklahoma City winning last night. I did say that Luka would have a good game, and I did say that Shea would have a good game as well, and they would kind of go at it. But that Oklahoma City would squeeze the victory, would squeeze out with the win. I thought that they were going to get some good production out of that Dallas was going to get some production out of Tim Hardaway Jr. But you can't predict PJ Washington having the game that he had, man. Like, that's a wild card. Like, what do you do with that? Like, what do you do with that? But I was dead wrong. Dallas won, and they're going back home. The other one now, I had Boston in a blowout. I thought they were going to have an easy... I thought they were going to... Or maybe not a blowout, but they were going to cruise to a victory. That it was just... They're kind of up the whole time. You know, Cleveland will make a run. But it's a pretty comfortable victory. And boy, was I fucking wrong. Let's see. Let's pull this up. I did it again.
Here's Tatum spinning, taking, and hitting.
All right, pull this out. All right, so last night Cleveland won 118-94 in Boston to tie the series 1-1. Donovan Mitchell ended up with 29 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, went 10 of 19 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Evan Mobley added 21 with 5 assists, 10 rebounds, 9 of 15 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3. And also 21 from Karis LeVert, 9 of 17 from the field, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. On the other side, for Boston, Tatum had 25 points but didn't shoot very well. 7 of 17 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 9 of 11 from the free throw line. He did have 7 rebounds and 6 assists. And then from Jaylen Brown, he had 19 points, 7 of 17 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3, had 4 rebounds and 1 assist.
Here's Mitchell. Finds Mobley. Great look. And Mobley.
And this was really, to me, let me see if I can find it.
It was successful for Cleveland as White rattles in the jumper.
So the third quarter was really huge for these guys. Nice. Tough defense. They were really getting out on the break. He pulled. Yep. Look at that. I love this here. I love this here because I want to see him in the mid post some more, man. He's bigger and stronger than most of these guys that are going to guard him. And if the guy is bigger than him, he's going to be quicker. Great defense right there.
More outstanding defense from Derek White. Tatum gives it up. Brown.
There you go, JB. Okay, because then he started cooking them. Mitchell started cooking these boys, man. Holy. Nice. Nice. I think here, yeah, Mitchell really start getting loose in the last couple minutes of that third quarter, man. He really started looking for his shot. And that's really what I was saying watching the game. Look at that shot. Woo! Look at them. They are stunned right now. Look, another mid post. Just having success. Ah. Oh. Look at this. Oh, man. Oh, baby. Too small. Too small. Nah, this shit is tough. Ah. Give me that. Bang. He was cooking them fools last night, man. And I'll say, that's what I was saying while I was watching the game. He was doing a great job of facilitating. He was doing a great job of facilitating through the first half. And I was saying, will he be able to use that energy now that he was able to save to close the game out? And the answer was yes. The answer was yes. The third quarter was huge. But it really came off of the back of Mobley having a really good start in the first quarter, because the Boston Celtics were able to get to the free throw line a little bit in that first quarter, and it could have gotten, let me see. Like, Tatum got to the line 6 times that quarter, and I really thought that, all right, well, maybe he can get going, right? I thought maybe he can start to get going, but Mobley really had his hands all over that first quarter, and LeVert too, very quietly. And the third quarter, I don't know what it was. I don't know if Mitchell saw something. Maybe he just, like I said, he still felt like he had some energy in him. But he just started hitting some shots. I think it was also really big that the Celtics were 0 of 8 from the three-point line in the third quarter. And at one point in the second half, missed 16 of 17 threes. Which means you're just fucking chucking at that point. And I guess for the most part it goes in for them, which is why they've been so dominant and has been so comfortable this year. But when it's not going in, similar to game 2 against Miami, this is how that looks. Like, when you're a three-point shooting team and your shot is not going in, it will look similar to how it looked that night. You know, Donovan Mitchell had 23 points in that second half, 16 in the third quarter. He was really able to just kind of get them over the hump with his role guys pushing him forward. You know, Garland didn't even have a great game, and they were still able to win, which is really good to see. Now, if we look on the other side, Tatum is still, he's yet to shoot well. And I was listening to Gil's Arena yesterday, and they were talking about don't worry about him because he's playing against lesser competition in the East, which is fine. He's not playing a lot of quarters. He's not playing a lot of minutes because they're blowing out, they were blowing out whoever the fuck they were playing before. Miami. They were blowing out Miami before. But Tatum is still not shooting well. And maybe he's just slumping, and he's slumping at the right time, meaning he's going to get hot towards the finals, right? But at the same time, he needs to shoot better. And I don't know if it's shot selection, where he's getting his shots from. With the amount of shots he is taking, he's just not shooting a great percentage. And I'm looking for him to, when you're dominant, you can do that as a scorer. Even as a perimeter scorer, you're able to still shoot well on less shots. And he hasn't been able to do that. Which to me, it's not a red flag, but you definitely note it because you need him to be there for you, in my opinion, in the Eastern Conference Finals and, more importantly, in the NBA Finals. You're going to need him to step up and do him and be the best player on this team if they want to move on and succeed in the finals. And on the flip side, if he don't, I don't even want to know what the fuck his mentions are going to look like in the summer. I don't wish that shit on nobody. It's going to look like I may have just gotten the script, bro. If he loses the finals, it's going to look like when LeBron and Miami lost against the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. That's how it's going to feel for him. Because everything right now, all signs are saying the Boston Celtics should win the NBA championship this year. But there's two guys on the Western Conference that got something to do, that might have something to say about that. Those two teams in the Western Conference, to me, mix the old school NBA with the new school NBA as well as we've seen it. Boston Celtics at their core are still a jump shooting, 3-point shooting team. Everything is difficult. Everything is bop, 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 sidestep 3. Everything is bop, 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 step back 3. You saw when Tatum was able to get into the mid post how much easier the shot was, and he was able to draw a foul. As opposed to all of these sidestep 3s that he's been fucking taking for the last God knows how many years. Like, help this man get some easier buckets and you guys will win a championship. It's that simple. You guys have a great team. You guys have great pieces. You guys are tall at every position. You got to figure out how to get your best player easier shots because he'll have more energy for those tougher shots in the later part of the game. What did Kobe used to always say? There were some of those pull-ups that he would purposely not take in the first, second, and even third quarter because he knew he can get those shots whenever he wanted to, and he was trying to save some of them for the fourth quarter. And maybe Tatum is kind of doing that right now. He's kind of saving his energy for the finals, but it's still, to me, it's still odd that he hasn't shot the ball well at all when they are so much better than these teams. So much better than these teams. But let me see. But for me, that's what it really came down to. I don't see their game threes kind of happening again because in my mind, the Dallas Mavericks aren't going to shoot like that the way that they shot in game 2. And I don't think Boston is going to shoot that bad the way they did in game 2. So I'm expecting both the Thunder and Boston to win game 3 away. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and find out. Now, moving on. So tonight, my New York Knicks, Game 3 in Indiana against the Indiana Pacers. They're up 2-0 right now. But I don't think OG playing tonight, right? I don't think OG Anunoby playing tonight. Is he ruled out? Yeah, I don't think he playing today, bro. I don't think he's playing tonight, man. 8 weeks. Yeah, he's out for Game 3, so that's tough because who are you going to put on Siakam? I mean, he wasn't doing a great job on Siakam as it was, but now you're going to have Josh Hart, who's already doing everything he can in 48 minutes already. Jalen Brunson got a hurt foot. It's going to be a tough Game 3 to win. It's going to be tough. However, will Halliburton have another good game? I don't know. I would look for Miles Turner to have a good game because he's like one game bad, one game good. One game bad, one game good. I think this next game will be the good game, I think, right? Let's see how he played last game. Yeah, this next game should be the good game. And Siakam should be able to go off with only so many players in the lineup. And that's gonna be real tough for them moving forward. It sucks. I do think that Indiana wins tonight, though, unfortunately. I do think that Indiana wins tonight. I think they're going to try to get out early. If I were them, I would try to win the game in the first quarter, basically. And kind of take the life out of them, not having their stars. And now you force someone like Jalen Brunson to start kind of playing hero ball because him, just like every other scorer, has that tendency. And if you kind of force him in that situation to start overshooting and doing things more than what he's supposed to instead of trusting his teammates, you can get the Knicks out of their game plan. And I think you can get that if Indiana comes out the game and punches first. Right? But the Knicks are tough as nails, man. And they have shown it. And obviously, I'm rooting for my guys. But like I said, it's going to be tough. And speaking of
all the way up to the conference finals, I'm gonna tell you this: there's a 0% chance. And
let me see this, man, because what the fuck was this guy rambling on and on about?
In the Eastern Conference, you can get to the conference finals a la Atlanta Hawks with like playing very mid teams, and so that's kind of what y'all are doing right now. And I think what this is setting up for y'all up for is what happened to the Atlanta Hawks 3 years ago when they made the conference finals and they never got back. Another team, to give you some perspective on this. Nope, but 1 second. Another team that did this, to give you some perspective on this, was the Portland Trailblazers years ago when they had Al-Farouq Aminu, Allen Crabbe, all those guys. They had all those guys, and they went to the conference finals, and we swept them pretty much without Steph Curry coming, because Steph Curry came back game 4 of the sweep.
All right, whatever.
Off the bench half.
All right. He could have stopped the Atlanta Hawks, but he just couldn't help but add his team in there. And no disrespect to Allen Crabbe or Al-Farouq Aminu. But this is not the same team that those guys have. Right? The big part about the Knicks is that Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo have won a championship together in college. And they've carried over that winning mentality. And when people say winning mentality, it's really about sacrifice. It's really about paying attention to detail. It's really about managing personalities down the stretch, not just the game, and being composed, right? Those are some of the elements that people really talk about when they're talking about champions in this sense, right? And these guys have shown that. Yeah, they're small. Yeah, they're not bigger than anybody else. But in an NBA that is so reliant on the jump shot, they're able to stay within striking distance. They're able to keep games close because they're not playing against a team like Minnesota or the Thunder, who will punish them for being smaller by attacking the basket consistently. You're talking about teams that are perfectly fine with staying on the outside and shooting threes all game. Like, let me see, where is it? Like, we were just talking about Cleveland, Boston. They were losing and went 8 for 35 from 3. Settling. The reason, what I was talking about with Oklahoma City Thunder, the reason they were able to stay in the game despite Dallas hitting all of those threes was because if you play percentages, they're going to go on a streak where they're going to miss a bunch of threes. And now you have an opportunity with a bunch of twos to start chipping away at a 12, 14 point lead. And all of a sudden, instead of being a 12, 14, 15 point lead, it becomes 7-6. And now they start to feel that pressure. Now the game shifts, right? You could be down and still have the momentum. But what happens when that team that's up is just perfectly content with shooting threes the whole game? You will have an opportunity, right? And I think that's what we've seen with the Knicks. They have figured out a way to build this team out where they're gritty and they'll grind games out. And I think that's really, really sick as a Knicks fan because they always have a chance. And now you have a guy who can close games in Jalen Brunson. So I understand. I hear what Draymond Green is trying to say, but to compare those Atlanta Hawks teams to this New York Knicks team are two totally different things. Comparing Damian Lillard and his Portland Blazers team to this Knicks team are two totally different things. Comparing those 2 point guards to Jalen Brunson are two totally different play styles. Right? Trae Young gets into the teeth of the defense, but he's going to hit you with floaters. He's going to hit you with step backs. Jalen Brunson is in there trying to find someone to hit and then throw the ball up. He's really trying to engage contact with the defense. And Damian Lillard, he's a jump shooter. I mean, we've seen it. He's a jump shooting guard. He's great. The type of pressure that Jalen Brunson puts on the defense is a little bit different. I'm not saying it's better, it's just different. Right? And so and by the way, he talking as if we not injured. He talking as if real people that know basketball don't know and understand that the Knicks getting this far is already a win. If we make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and lose, fuck it. You clap, you tip your hat off to these guys and say, let's get better next year and move forward. Fuck is Draymond Green talking about? Listen, man, listen. You a hater. You and Jimmy Butler from the sideline yapping and hating. You guys got eliminated already. You didn't even make it to the playoffs, dog. Fuck out of here talking about the Knicks. Draymond fucking Green. I love that dude, bro. He is phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. Even with him trying to choke out Rudy and fight everybody in the NBA, I was trying to still like look out for the dude, but shit, like you comparing apples to oranges in my opinion. And you smarter than that. You know what you're doing, but you smarter than that. Shit. So moving on to tonight, the final game tonight is whew, this shit is gonna be interesting, bro. We're gonna have the Denver Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves in Denver, and Minnesota right now is up 2-0, and they have been beating the shit out of this team. If I'm be honest, and I guess I want to start with the Defensive Player of the Year talk. Because Rudy Gobert just won it. I personally think the Defensive Player of the Year should be in San Antonio right now with Victor Wembanyama. And I think Game 2 proved it. Game 1, Minnesota gave up 99 points to the Denver Nuggets. Without Rudy in Game 2, Minnesota gave up 80 points to the Denver Nuggets. Rudy's a great defender. He just wasn't the Defensive Player of the Year. As we saw, the Timberwolves have great defenders throughout their lineup. Starting with Jaden McDaniels and Alexander Walker. And then you have Anthony Edwards, who's really showed up to be a really, really good, really great defender this year as well too. I think Cat has been forced to play some defense now, even though he's never been known to play defense. And Mike Conley's always been solid. Meaning you have a great defensive team, which is why the defense looks so good. And you look at the Spurs, yeah, they didn't win a lot of games, but that guy's defense was incredible. He had a block and a half more than Jokic a game. Like, that's crazy. In like 28 minutes a game. He didn't even break 30. So what's it going to look like when he's playing 33, 35 minutes a game? 5 blocks a game, 25, 26, 28 points. How many, like come on, man. What was his, let's see. Let's see this fool right here. All right, this year he averaged 10.6 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 3.6 blocks. Let's see this year. And this guy, Rudy, didn't even average 1 steal a game. Like, what are we talking about, bro? I saw people talking about the anchor of a defense, right? Before, in the old NBA, right? In the 80s, 90s, even the 2000s. It made sense that the Defensive Player of the Year every single year, damn near, was a big guy. It made sense, right? It makes sense. Because there were so many good big guys. There were so many great centers and power forwards, right? You had to be a great defender in that position because that was the initial point of attack. On top of that, all perimeter players were trying to get into the paint also. So you were responsible for so much as an interior defender back in the day, which made sense why centers and power forwards were consistently the defensive player of the year. Nowadays, when you have a perimeter-oriented game, how is it possible that a center or a power forward is still the defensive player of the year when motherfuckers are shooting 53 pointers a game? So if a team puts up 80 shots and 50 of them are threes, how much defense could you be playing as a big man? I could tell you, not just from the highlights, I can tell you that Victor Wembanyama is guarding those motherfuckers out in the perimeter because he's averaging 1.2 steals a game. He's switching on pick and rolls and guarding guys out. So yes, it makes sense for him. But having these guys that just stay and live in the paint all game, talking about they're the defensive player of the year, like, the game changed. The game ain't the same no more. And I think the Timberwolves showed you that last game. When the point of attack is the perimeter and you have great perimeter defenders, yeah, now you hold those guys to 80 points and not 99. They score less now without your defensive player of the year in the lineup. And yes, granted, it's only one game. But I think it shows you the change that has taken place in the NBA. And I think the awards need to start reflecting that. I think we need to start seeing more wing defenders and guard defenders in these conversations. And if not, we need to find a fucking stat that can put them there. Because the way it is set up currently, we're counting total rebounds as a huge factor. And off and defensive rating, which is a team rating. Like, it's perimeter defenders are never going to get that kind of shine. And realistically, the way Victor Wembanyama is playing, he might get the defensive player of the year the next 5 years for all we know. So we'll see what happens. It's definitely something really interesting to kind of pay attention to. But looking ahead to this game, I thought last game was damn near a must-win game for Denver. Because you didn't want to go home down 2-0. Not against a young, hungry team. Not when you're hurt. Not when Jamal Murray's frustrated. He just got fined $100,000 for throwing the heat pack on the floor. That's how pissed he was, bro. And I don't think Minnesota is stepping off of this gas pedal one bit. I think they're basically looking to close this series out tonight. And if I were them, I would do the same thing. Don't even give these guys life. Take the fucking heart out and let them just keep flailing around on the floor. I think the Timberwolves win tonight. I think they sweep the Denver Nuggets. And we have the future in the Western Conference Finals. It's really been a great playoffs because we are watching a changing of the guard in real time. Luka's 25 years old and knocked out our previous stars with Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kawhi Leonard. Anthony Edwards knocked out Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. The Pacers, granted they were hurt, knocked out the Bucks with Damian Lillard. And then Boston is their vets, but Tatum is also only 25 years old. Brunson's what, 27? So he's still relatively young. we are seeing in real time, not a passing of the torch, a taking of the torch. You know, everyone always talks about what's going to happen after LeBron and after Steph Curry and after all. We're seeing it. The Warriors didn't even make it to the playoffs. Those motherfuckers stayed home. They didn't even get to come over here to go home. They just stayed home. And we got these young guys coming in here mixing old school basketball with new school basketball. And it's really, really beautiful to watch. And I hope that these other teams watch these guys and watch these teams, that these coaches watch these other coaches and pay attention. Because if this is what we can expect for the next 10 years, then we are in for a great NBA. If this is the style that we can get, I'm here for it because I love it. And, you know, we're looking for Ant-Man and the Timberwolves to take down the MVP. And then hopefully going forward, they get to take on who should have been the MVP. You know? But hey, it is what it is. I can't wait to watch the games tonight. I can't wait to watch my Knicks tonight. Hopefully we win. Hopefully, because shit is not looking good right now. But hopefully we win this game. And then I'm gonna look for the Timberwolves to win. I was wrong all yesterday, so shit, don't fucking listen to me. But like I said, it's gonna be fun to watch. There's gonna be some great games to watch. And as always, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you guys for kicking it with me and listening to me bullshit. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for watching. Peace.